Here today, Guru Young and Rob Swan at Forest Lane Fishery. Catching a few now, ain't ya?
Yeah, it's a little bit windy, but we get plenty bites, so I'll put up with a little bit of wind.
Yeah.
We've come here to Forest Lane to demonstrate a little bit of speed fishing, could you call it?
That's it, yeah. Speed
lots of bites.
That's it, getting lots of bites of them small, tiny fish that you were just catching then.
Yeah, this is where the Fish North finals held. That was on Saturday, and I managed to come second overall. So I was obviously chuffed a bit to that, but
well done, mate.
Agonisingly second place behind Andy Bennett. So he's always a hard man to beat on venues like this.
Oh,
he knows what he's doing, speed fishing.
He's the man, isn't he?
Yeah, so I thought we'd come back here today, do a little bit of fishing. This is exactly how we fished in the final, and just talk through a few different tips for this style of fishing. So that's
it. So yeah, if you give me your first tip then, mate.
First tip, we're going to try and catch a fish and talk through something about roller positioning. If you look behind, I've got one roller with me today, set at sort of knee height, so I'm shipping back straight over. Got a little bit of tangle, we're good. So then it's all about being efficient. So we'll try and catch a fish and I'll talk you through it as I go. Get out to where we're fishing and just give the rig a couple of slaps, try and catch one. I'll just talk through what we're doing. We're fishing with maggots today, up in the water, because this lake's absolutely full of fish. The only problem with the wind is, there we go, we've hooked one now. So just feed on sugar fish.
It affects your accuracy, that's it, yeah.
There's plenty of fish in here, so it doesn't really matter. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to shit back, and when I get to my top kit, I'm not going to break down because I want to try and save some time. So once I get there, I lift up and the fish will just pop up within netting range. Easy as that. There's no point breaking down when the fish are this size.
In motion.
Get back to you sort of in your netting position. Stick your top kit under your elbow, under your armpit, and then unhook the fish. Simple as that. We'll chuck him back into your keep net or back into the lake as we're doing today. And then you're literally ready to go again. It'll save you a few seconds every time you catch a fish, and hopefully by the end of the day, it'll all add up.
All adds up, doesn't it? Turns into minutes, doesn't it? So them minutes where you can catch an extra like 6 or 7 fish.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
even more.
I caught 106 fish, and that was a slow day on here. And then if you save in 5 seconds every fish, well, it all adds up. I'm not going to do the maths.
It's all adding up, isn't it?
And it can definitely help you catch a few extra fish. So literally, I don't have to faff about picking it up. I'm literally ready to go, ship back out, and hopefully nail another fish. So that's the first tip. Hope you enjoyed.
So then, Rob, tip number 2, please, for venues such as this.
Oh, I've got one right on cue as well.
Look at that, you couldn't have timed that much better, could you?
Yeah, so tip number 2, I want to talk a little bit about Landon Net Positioning. As you can see, straight to hand. I always have my Landon net when I'm fishing, well, at all times to be honest with you, but it's even more important when it comes to fishing fast and being efficient. In the little reaper rest, as you can see, hooked onto my little reeve attachment. We'll slip this one back. So then I always know exactly where my Landon net is. It keeps it in position, nice and stable. Plonk him in. I've also got my little fusion net bag at the back.
Little stink bag.
Fully supported. It's not clunking around and making noise, and you know, just in general, it just keeps it exactly where it is. It keeps it above my side tray as well. So if I want to have my bait trays underneath it, sometimes we know what it's like. We all carry lots of bait. So if I can have it set above it and know exactly where it is, I don't have to look. I can just pick it up, net my fish, plonk him back, and on windy days like today, it keeps it in position. It's not blowing around. So a little quick tip that'll hopefully help you stay a bit more efficient and put more fish in your net.
Tip number 3 then, please, Rob.
Yep.
Tell us all about it.
Yeah, so I want to touch a little bit on rigs because I think that's quite important, especially when you're catching lots of fish. And to start with, I want to start with line length. Something that doesn't always get focused on, but I think it deserves a little bit more consideration because I think it does put more fish in your net. So I'll start with my shallow rig. A lot of this venue, sort of like I worked out, and what I found best in practice was fishing with a longer line. Something that I think these fish, there may be lots of fish in here and they compete for bait, but they certainly are spooky. And being carp, they feed a little bit different to F1s. I think we all know that with F1s, a lot of the time, yeah, you will need longer lines sometimes, but short lines is king. But for me, on this venue, I prefer fishing a longer line. So
get less tangles as
well.
well,
you get less tangles. You can keep your tip away from the fish, which is what's important, so they're not spooking, especially when they're coming in sort of 10 to 13 inches of water. That seems to be the best depth from this venue. Going deeper doesn't really benefit you, so it's a one rig job basically. You can alter your depth by moving your floatman down a few inches, which is the beauty of having a long line. You don't need multiple rigs. So I've literally got, what's that, probably a 13-14 inch line, and probably
about that, yeah, isn't it?
Yeah, set my float about 12 inches deep. I've got a couple of back shots, which is important when you've got a long line to secure you. It's like when you got it in the water, it just keeps your rig in position, and when one pulls the float under, it just helps you hook them nice and quickly.
Lovely, isn't it?
I'll just give you a little bit run through this rig, and I'll touch on the next one. So I've got 017 mainline, nice and durable. I've got white hydro with a little bead, so it's direct to the line, so you don't miss bites when you're shallow fishing. I think we all know about that, so we're not touching that anymore. A little AR, this is the 0.1. They've got 1.5mm bristles, so it's nice and sensitive, nice and light. That's 3 number 10s I've got on there, and I've just got one underneath the float, as you can see there, and then I've got 2 right next to a 2-inch hook length, which seems dead short, but I think even more so when you're fishing for small fish, it give you really like shy bites, or they'll easily like spit your bait out. So a nice short hook length keeps your shot right by your hook, and then it'll prick them a little bit easier. But that's a shallow rig really, something like you can move up and down with that long line, keeps you nice and variable. You can move your depth, and that's it really in a short kit, but we'll not speak anymore about that. I think that's been done to death. Short kit's just a little bit less elastic, allows you to lift up and net the fish without breaking down, like I spoke about before. Moving on to my next rig, which is for deck fishing. I mean, today we've not been able to fish on the deck because there's just that many fish here.
One feed and they're already up.
Yeah,
to
one
it.
feed and they were straight up. But in the final and the semi-final, this deck rig, the fishing off final that is, this deck rig was quite important. I'll start on the line length again. So this time I've gone for a short line. In the final I had an even short line, probably about that long. And I've no back shots on here, because I think when you're fishing sort of with a 4 to 6 inch line,
don't need them, do you?
You don't need them, because your pole tip is already moved. Your pole tip is keeping your floating position. So a nice short line was really important, because when you're fishing in, what, say 7 foot of water, something like that, 7.5
foot, isn't it?
6, 7 foot, yeah. You're going to get lots of indications, even when you catch on the bottom. So you want to be lifting, nice short lifts. You don't want to be whacking up and down, because then you're going to foul up fish that sat off the bottom.
More seconds wasted as
yeah,
well,
exactly. You don't, yeah, exactly. And it spooks the shoulder fish that are feeding. So a nice short line just allows you to give it a little lift. Main line's the same, 017, nice and durable. If I was fishing for big carp, I'd definitely be using 019, 020, but they're only little things, so nice and light. Float, a 0.75 carbon pinger, same again, 1.5 bristle, but it's nice and heavy. It takes plenty shot and keep my rig in position. It's obviously quite a big open water lake, and I'm fishing in deep water, so I want plenty shot down the line just to pin my rig in position. And it was when I'm lifting up and down, I want to reset my rig. So by that I mean I want to sort of like be fishing again nice and quick. If I fished a lighter float like a 0.5, it'd take too long to get my rig back down. So it'll just help me be a bit more efficient and hopefully get a bite a bit quicker once I've missed one. Like I said, 017 main line, and I've just got a bulk of number 8 shots. What's that? Probably it's a 4-inch hook length, then probably 6-inch and 6-inch. So a bulk of number 8, number 9 and number 9. Some quite big droppers, but when you're fishing in deep water, I just like to fish a little bit bigger. If it was colder, I'd probably fish number 10s there, but number 9s are fine. And then when you're fishing deep water, you'd probably tend to fish like a 6-inch hook length, but again, with these being small fish, and they'll quickly eat your bait and spit it back out, you're getting fine bites. A short hook length, so that's a 4-inch one. Just keep your last shot nice and close to your hook length, to your hook. And one thing I didn't mention, both rigs exactly the same, a 16s Super LWG spade end, 2 maggots on there, sits lovely. And then I've just tied it to 013. I did tie some 015 hook lengths up in case the fish were going a bit nuts, but 013 is lovely for that. But hopefully that gives you a little taster of my rigs and the reasons why I fish long and short lines, and yeah, hopefully you gain a few tips from that and enjoy.
Perfect. So then Rob, final tip of the day.
Yep.
Talk us through it. So
yeah, in terms of the fishing, I want to talk about slapping and feeding. A couple of different ways of getting a fish on the hook. So let's go out, hopefully nail one straight away, because it has been black, so hopefully the fish abide.
Hopefully, I think it's inevitable.
And don't make me look like a fool. So I just want to talk about holding the pole. When it's windy like today, I want to wedge the pole between my legs, just like it is here. It helps you steady your pole and keep better presentation. If you held it like this, the chances are the wind's going to move you. So when
You're
it's
waving
windy,
about, aren't you?
when it's windy, trap your pole like that. That's just a little tip. So
it.
when you get out to where you're fishing, slap your rig a couple of times, just make noise in the water, and then hold your pole tip above your float. It's important when you slap your rig, don't, so if you go on the float, Brando, and I'll show you. See, if you slap your rig and go like that, you know, if you sort of slap and move it,
yeah,
it's wrong, because the fish will come to the noise and then your bait won't be there. So it's important that when you slap your rig, hold your rig in the same position as when in the water. And then once I've sort of slapped my rig a couple of times, if I don't get one on the hook that way, I'm going to feed my maggots over the top. If you miss a bite, just slap your rig again. There you go, and we've got one.
He's in.
Once you hook one, feed a bit of bait over the top, be as accurate as you can.
It's not easy in this weather though, is it?
It's not easy, but it's something that just takes a bit of practice. I'm certainly not the best, the most accurate, but if you can do your best, that's what matters. Net the fish nice and quickly.
How about that?
And then pick him up, unhook him.
Bob's your uncle.
Bob's your uncle, simple as that. So it's just about trying to feed accurately, feed over the top of your rig and slap it and just vary it up so hopefully you'll trick one onto the hook. But that's just a little bit of the fishing. Hopefully the tips that we've talked you through today will help you put a few extra fish in the net when you go out on the bank the next time. So until I see you the next time, tight lines.